Attacks against Hillary Clinton based on the sound of her voice, the volume of her voice, have become more and more common. Is she a presidential candidate, or is she trying to star in the Scream reboot? We go to the mainstream media to find out, with people both on the left and on the right saying that they have a problem with how Hillary Clinton speaks. First, we have Bob Woodward, who hopefully you are familiar with, speaking with Joe Scarborough.
I think a lot of it with Hillary Clinton has to do with style and delivery, oddly enough. She shouts. There is something unrelaxed about the way she is communicating, and I think that just jumps off the television
So, Bob,
screen.
it's interesting you said that, because last night I was watching her, and I said to myself, has nobody told her
that Kristen has interesting information
that the microphone works?
People have mentioned this before, Scarborough. Don't worry. Next, Geraldo.
Sounds like Bernie. She switched like a... First of all, Lena Dunham of Girls says to call her angry is sexist. I just want to really sexist.
She looked angry. She sounded angry. The only thing missing was the rock.
It did sound a lot like Howard Dean. I wonder if it was the same hall as Howard Dean was in, where you're screaming like that. Why are you screaming? You have a microphone. It's amplified. And when you shriek that way, it is such an unpleasant...
That's sexist, Geraldo.
I'm talking audio. I'm not talking sex. Well, I'm not talking gender. I'm talking... like maybe she needs a rock and roller earphone.
A rock and roller earphone. This commentary coming from the 1920s. Anyway, so we do have a little bit more from that same show. Everybody's desperate to know what Sean Hannity thinks about this.
Bob Woodward, Watergate fame, hardly a member of the vast right-wing conspiracy. He says, I think a lot with Clinton has to do with style and delivery.
I know, too, we can stand up to the gun lobby and get common sense gun safety measures.
What is likable about that? What is angry, bitter, screaming? I'm going to stop there.
That's good. Stop forever. I like the Howard Dean scream. I still find that to be funny.
It's funny because in that last clip especially, Hannity is criticizing Hillary's angry or loud tone.
And not being likable.
While he's doing the exact same thing. Okay, so can we now talk about this whole criticism? Do we have more videos or anything?
No, I think that's all the time we have for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No,
have at it.
So
just keep it on a level. Just don't yell.
Okay. I actually do have an issue with Hillary when she yells, but it's not because I think that it's unacceptable to yell. In fact, I yell on the show all the time. Bernie Sanders yells all the time. And during the last Democratic town hall, I had tweeted about how I didn't like that Bernie Sanders had toned down the yelling because I like the fire. I love the fire. Whether it's a man or a woman, I love passionate political points.
Yeah.
But it has to be genuine and it has to be sincere.
Yeah.
I have to be honest with you. Sometimes when Hillary gets loud, I feel like it's insincere. I feel like she's been told, hey, you need to come off as more passionate. You know, you're up against Bernie Sanders, who does get loud, and so maybe you want to increase the tone a little bit.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't come off as sincere. If it was sincere, then I'd love it, because the passion is what speaks to voters like me.
Yeah.
I think that people on Fox News and some of the conservative critics are not attacking her because they're concerned about this sincerity. I think that they are basically launching sexist attacks against her, to be real with you.
Yeah, look, Bob Woodward has done good work, but he's also about 160, so he has pretty old-fashioned views of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And Sean Hannity is either accidentally or purposefully missing the point. People aren't saying that they're attacking her tone or saying she's shrill as part of the right-wing conspiracy. They're saying it is a sexist attack against her. Bob Woodward is perfectly capable of being sexist. I find that you can be sexist up until 80 or 90 years old these days if you want to be. And so people are missing that. Now, we know the scientific research has been done. People do judge women differently for speaking at the same level of volume, whether they exhibit vocal fry or not. When they do the uplifting question at the end of a sentence, they judge them for that in ways that they don't judge men. All of that is totally true. What I think needs to be borne in mind, and I don't think that the people defending attackers of Hillary on those shows we showed you care at all about, is something can be historically true, a form of discrimination or stereotyping. like women are shrill and they're nags. And men have said that historically way too much. Or men calling women bossy. They do that way too much. That can be totally true. That doesn't mean it's impossible for a woman to be bossy. It doesn't mean it's impossible for a woman to speak loudly when she doesn't need to. You are still, as a woman, free to be bad in various ways, regardless of the different ways that men have systemically held women down in the past.
Yeah, look, I agree with you on that. But, you know, if you were to compare and contrast the way various politicians deliver their speeches, just basic, just focusing basic tone and focusing on basic tone and nothing else. Hillary Clinton's not doing anything different from any other male politician. You know, the tone is similar. The question is she sincere? And so when she's talking about, you know, campaign finance reform or corruption in the government, and she raises her voice to kind of get the same type of positive reinforcement that Bernie Sanders has gotten for raising his voice on those issues, it doesn't come off as sincere.
It seems like she's trying to do it.
That's exactly right. So if someone's criticizing that, then I'm fine with it. And by the way, I'm going to be even more honest about what I think politicians should do and people in the media should do. Like, this pressure to seem professorial when you're making your arguments is bullshit. I don't think that resonates with people. I think passion resonates with people, right? And as long as you're being real with your constituents and you're being genuine in your beliefs and your policy positions, who cares if you get a little loud? Who cares if sometimes you might use language that's unsavory?
Drop an F-bomb.
Right? I mean, I drop the F-bomb on the show once in a while when I get really heated about an issue, but that's because I'm in the moment and I care, and it's real. And
it's not scripted.
It's not, no. And, you know, we don't use scripts on the show anyway. But
well, I have a teleprompter, but nobody else uses one.
But
that was actually on a teleprompter. I just read that.
Did you really?
I knew to say that I don't use a teleprompter normally, but I am right now. Anyway.
Right. But I think that Hillary gets criticized by the right for sexist reasons, and I think that she gets criticized by people on the left for her insincerity on these issues.
And some are sexist.